guys, in today's video I'm going to be helping this sketch be a little bit less derpy. It needs a little bit of work, needs a little bit of help. Something I've really enjoyed doing lately is sketching traditionally and then fixing it up on my computer digitally. This one actually isn't that bad. I've had a lot worse sketches. Like this one, for example. This one is looking even a little bit rough, but we'll get to that on a different day, maybe. Typically my sketches tend to look like this when I draw traditionally. And the reason for that is because I'm actually, the art I do most of the time now is digital art. And I think digital art has its merits. I think it makes, digital art is a good thing. I'm not knocking digital art in this instance, but I think an issue that it does bring up, at least for me, is I think it actually has hindered me in some ways, despite being more efficient for me, because I feel like with digital art, you have all these tools where you can like resize stuff, move it around, fix something, that you can't really do with traditional art. And it kind of just, at least for me, I think it kind of taught me that I don't really have to be perfect. I can kind of just do whatever, not really worry about proportion or if I got this right immediately. And to me, I feel like that's not a good thing. It's kind of making your brain a little bit lazy, in my opinion. Maybe it's just a me thing. Maybe, other people who do digital art, you don't let yourself, I guess your brain get lazy in that way. I don't know, at least for me, I feel like I crutch way too hard on the digital aspects, like being able to move stuff around and everything, so that when I try to draw traditionally, I run into the issue where I just, things just look so like wonky when I try to sketch traditionally now, and I feel like the only conclusion I can come to is that I think digital art in a way has hindered me because I can just move stuff around. I don't have to think as hard about it to get it correct the first time. I can say, oh, I don't care if this is improportionate. I can just fix it later, move it, drag it, stretch it, squash it, flip it, bop it, So I think in that regard, it's kind of a bad thing in terms of, I guess, just your critical drawing brain, I guess. But one thing I've really enjoyed doing lately is just drawing some of this stuff out traditionally, and again, I cannot talk. But what else is new? So one thing I've really enjoyed doing lately is getting back to my traditional roots and just drawing things out, with a pencil on paper, and then scanning it into my computer, and then finishing it up digitally in Photoshop. And I found that really fun. It's kind of almost like really soothing to kind of go back and fix a sketch. It's like, oh, this needs to be fixed. Let me fix this, drag this here. It's kind of like this really nice, fun marriage between traditional art and then digital art. I really enjoy doing it this way. And I think it has an extra benefit for me of helping me get back to, being a more technical drawer, drawing on paper where you don't have this undo button and you can't do all this, fancy moving around and stuff. I think it will help me to just build up my skill again, I guess, in sketching traditionally. I think going back to drawing sketches this way will really help me get back to watercolor, because I really do miss watercolor. I used to do watercolor all the time, but unfortunately, if you can't sketch, I guess, how do I say this? If you can't get the sketches, if you're not good at sketching traditionally, it makes watercolor a lot harder because, if you're doing watercolor, you can just sketch directly on the paper and ink it on the paper. You got the sketch right the first time. You're not like used to doing stuff digitally where you can just change stuff and flip it and squash it. You can't really do that on watercolor paper. You have to like get it right the first time. And so I feel like by me kind of, I guess, losing that skill, it kind of hinders me from doing watercolor, because now when I want to do watercolor, what I do is I sketch it on the computer first, then I trace it from the computer onto the watercolor paper, and then I have to ink it. I don't know, it just feels like this really annoying extra step. And I know some people sketch on watercolor paper first and then they trace over it onto the watercolor paper again. I know that's a thing people do, but it's a little bit harder when you're trying to trace it from a screen. I don't really have a printer right now, and printer ink is very expensive, so I have to print out the sketch from the computer and then trace it on. It's just a lot, I just feel like I see artists who can just sketch right onto the watercolor paper and ink it, and it just seems like a much nicer, seamless experience than having to do all this sketching, tracing, sketching again, tracing, sketch it, flop it. It's too many steps, and my poor ADHD brain ain't got the patience for it. Okay, I very much these days, especially I'm getting older. I'm tired, y'all. I'm tired. I'm always trying to find the most efficient way to do things these days, because my patience gets slower and slower. I swear, because my ADHD brain, it's rough in these streets. But anyway, I think it'll be a good thing for me to keep doing sketches this way, so that I can improve my traditional drawing skills. This is something I want to work on, is getting better sketching on paper again. I think I see some artists who just sketch so beautifully on paper, and I'm like, dang, I wish I could do that again. I feel like I have to be on my computer now to sketch, I guess efficiently or nicely, because I have all these tools at my disposal. But that's not always the case. I'm not saying it's like I can't draw at all. Like I sketch on paper a lot more these days, and you know, some stuff will come out, you know, pretty good. But I just feel like, I don't know, I just feel like back in the day before I started doing digital art, you know, I just feel like stuff came a little bit more easily on paper. You know, I'm not saying I'm absolutely useless on paper. I just feel like, just this little feeling I get. I'm just like, I feel like I used to be able to, you know, get stuff right. Not right the first time. I feel like that's a bad message to send, but I just mean like, I don't know how to explain it. I mean, I think it just kind of is self-explanatory. If you have all these tools at your disposal where you can just, you know, move an arm, stretch an arm, flip it, you know, fix it, you know, all these tools computer has that you can't do on paper, it kind of does get your brain used to that, and it doesn't, you know, you don't really think as critically when you're drawing, you know, because you know you can fix it later. So, whereas on paper, you're a little bit more cautious with your strokes. You kind of think ahead a little bit more, if that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense. But yeah, so, and I think it'll be really fun to have the series too. So I can do that. You know, I really enjoy bringing sketches onto the computer and, fixing them up from there. So it's like a win-win. I get to practice drawing traditionally and then bring them on here and beautify them with my digital art. But hopefully one day later on in this channel, I'll get back to doing watercolors, because I do miss my watercolors dearly. And you guys will see more of that in the future. I just have to be, I guess, when I get it in, I guess. Because I was filming another video with watercolors a couple weeks ago. I'm working on another video to release, and I don't know, the watercolor just wasn't going quite the way I wanted it to, because again, I was sketching on the paper, you know, directly, and it kind of wasn't going the way I wanted it to. It wasn't terrible by any means, but in the end, I decided to just finish that video, you know, digitally. I'm going to show you guys the watercolor I did in that video whenever I release it, but in the end, I decided to just, you know, do the designs on the computer just because it was easier, and to me, I feel like that's an issue. You know, I want to be able to do watercolor when I want to do watercolor, not because, oh, this is too hard, I don't want to do this anymore. You know what I mean, if that makes sense? So I really want to stretch my traditional muscle again and get back to doing watercolor. I just really hope that I can, you know, get back to doing it, you know, what's the word? Efficiently, nicely. I don't know, whatever. But anyways, my little TED Talk is over. This will definitely be a series because I have a lot, y'all. I have a lot of sketches to do this on. So this will definitely be a series, fixing my ugly sketches. So that will definitely be a thing that is coming. But thank you guys so much for watching my process. I think as time goes on, I'll improve these and think of ways to make them more engaging. But I try to give you guys different angles, you know, how it looks just directly on the screen and how you can kind of see me cutting away and seeing my hand actually on the screen. Because I think the other challenge with digital art videos is it's kind of boring just to see a flat, you know, a flat speed paint of some, you know, of something. Whereas with traditional art, you can kind of see the dynamic angles. You can hear the brush strokes and the pen, you know, the pen ink. You know, it's just a little bit more, what do you want to call it? Warm, engaging, I guess, more personal with traditional art. And I really hate, that's the only thing I hate about digital art. I love digital art, but when you try to share people your process, it's a little bit harder to kind of get that, I don't know, that personal touch to it, I guess, because you're trying to film a screen. So I hope that me showing some angles of me actually drawing on the screen helps bring a little bit more of that, you know, interpersonal, you know, time back to it. But yes, this is how I fix my sketches. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask and I'll let you know. And that's it for my first in this series of fixing my ugly sketches. And I will see you guys next time in the next video. Thank you for listening to my rambles. And I will see you guys very, 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 very soon. Bye! Like and subscribe!